All right, so here is where we were last time. Let's do, I don't know, 80 by 30. So, oops. Let's delete that. I'm doing this so it'll do the corners better. This is a brand new game that I'm starting. Okay, so we know it can do this. It bumps into everything when it's just doing straight random. When it does evade, it's smarter. Notice it rounds, see it doesn't bump. Now, unfortunately, right now, that smarter move, evade, does not combine with fire or hunt. They both essentially are back to random. I haven't combined them. What I want to do today is to add firing ability to the robots. The the player will cloak automatically if it gets stuck. So for instance, let's remove evade, and it should get stuck here at some point. If you see jumps, there we go. So nope, it has to get stuck for a second, for 1 second. And there it goes. It cloaked, and then it appeared over here. So that's that. You can also, in using the keys, just make it cloak and appear at will. So then fire is, if it finds, it doesn't go hunting for them, but if they happen to be in its path, it will attempt to shoot them. Okay, so that's fire. And then finally, hunt is definitely aggressive. It is hunting for them, and I got to keep bringing them back, bringing the robots back. Okay, but what I want to do today is give the robots the ability to fire back. Again, if you want to, try to learn to leverage AI to help you write your own games, your own programs, even if you weren't so much interested in programming, but it's nice to create stuff, right? So find this channel with the 8-ball and go to playlist. And it's this one here, create a shooting game using AI. There's the playlist. There's all of the videos. We are at 15 is the latest. So today's video is number 16. And starting with 12 on, I have posted, let's go to the bottom, one comment here, and I supply all the files needed so that you can get started. In my earlier videos, I really went a lot through the process, but as it got more and more complicated, I just, the videos become longer, right? So I decided, look, just jump in wherever you want to jump in. Don't look at these numbers. Just think of previous video or previous version, latest version, right? Play with it. You have the files. You have this version, and you can play with that one, so you know what this one does or doesn't do that this one does, and you have the video. So then try to use the AI tool of your choice and try to prompt it to see if it can get you to your goal, and that's a way of learning. And then you can also do code compare between the two. So what I do is I copy 15, create a new directory. Now I rename it 16, go there. I rename the main. This is the file that you run that will open up the browser, right, and show the game. It's the only one that has to be renamed. The rest of them don't have to be renamed. This is the image that's required for the pointer. So when you're pasting obstacles, that's that little arrow pointer. Okay, so my guess is for me to get, for in my case, I'm going to use ChatGPT or Google Gemini, I'm not sure, in order to get them to help me add shooting ability to the robots. I think they already have some of the logic. Probably going to give it the main file, and I'm going to give it the robot functions file, and then I'm going to start asking questions. So I'm going to, for this one video again, show a little bit of my process. So I pasted in Notepad the main file, followed by the robot. Let's see, where are we here? Where's the robot? This is the end of the main file, and here begins the robot file right there. Go to the bottom, and that's where I have some starting prompts that I want to paste in. So I'm going to paste the whole thing in. So this is what we're going to start with. I think I showed you, I'm talking to Google Gemini, the two files, the main file, the robot file. Yes, I think that most of the logic or the code is present already for the robots to fire. They have just been given instructions to fire. Yes. So here's Google Gemini. I paste everything in. And since this thing just is so verbose, just a yes or no for now. And let's see what it has to say. It is thinking. Oh, wow. First time ever for me that it just says yes. So what I'd like to do first is over here in the robot section, I want to add a button that probably is the same, like is similar to this one. It'll say fire, it'll be here, normally disabled, and, or I don't know, we'll see. But I want a fire button so that I can put the robots onto the game board, right, onto the canvas, but they only start firing when I hit fire. I'm not sure. Most of these buttons, honestly, were a debugging tool, and they could go away in the final version once we decide, how the game should be. Why did that just go red? Oh, it must have been okay, anyway, reload, whatever. Now, because Google Gemini tends to forget so much, sometimes you'd be surprised. It's got a great memory for certain things and lousy one for others. So anyway, I'm going to repaste all the files. And here's my new prompt. I want a fire button in the robot's left nav panel section below the 5 R buttons. It should behave very similar to the player's fire button, and it should also its state, whether active or not, should be saved just like the player's fire button. The one difference is that it's not paired with any other button, so the toggling of its state is just depending on if on being clicked, right? Its starting default state is disabled unless saved previously, then that state overrides. It should be cleared just like all the other buttons whenever user changes canvas size. Stop there for now. I assume this change addition just affects the main HTML file. Give me exactly what to do where in the code. Now, my reason for this one is because these files are growing, A, and it forgets so much, B, that it's just easier to have it give me the code blocks, and I just plop them in where I'm supposed to plop them in. All right, so here we go. To implement this, just like I said, it's the HTML, which is the presentation, right? The actual button that we see and the associated code, but it's all in the main file, and it just gave me all the different parts, and I go find them and paste them, and then I do a file compare. So I'll just show you one. So locate the robot section in your sidebar and add the button row below. So we just have to add this. So I'm going to copy that, right? And I use the file compare to meld. So first I took what is the current code, copied and pasted it over here. And then I'm going to go find the robot section. So let's see, there's the robot buttons. This is the separator. So visually, that little thin line right there, that's the separator, right? Right in here we're going to add that button. And move it over to our side. We're going to save this. We come back to the visual and we reload, and there's the fire button. All right, so we've taken the changes. They're going to be on the right. This is our original on the left. So let's go over the changes real quick. So these are all new. Game state robot fire mode starts off as false because whenever we reset the canvas, we want it that way. And the same thing goes with this part here. So next, oh, I think, oh my gosh, the cursor, yeah, sorry. There we go. In our data, this is like our overall game state data. So we need to add that there, and we need to add that there. Everything has to do with the robot fire button, as you can see. So even if you don't understand the code, just reading that, you can tell that it all has to do. Now, this right here is the new listener. This is what's going to make, when you click that button, the new button, this is what makes it do things. But yeah. Okay, let's try running it again. This is really the only file we have to worry about. This file pulls in everything else. So we just hit enter, wait for the browser to start up. Here it is. And there's the fire. It's not doing anything, but at least it clicks on and off. Now, I don't want it saved permanently. So like, for instance, if I put this in evade mode, and let's say I put this arrow and I refresh the page, all that was retained, as well as the matrix, the obstacles. But I don't want this one to be saved. All right, so that was just half the battle. That sets up the button. It sets up most of it, but the actual act of firing, in other words, when I click the fire button and enable it, and we want the robots to fire, that has to do with this file, which is robot functions. So we're going to copy that, put it over into Google Gemini, and ask it to go ahead and finish up the wiring. So this is a change. Update robots. That sounds like it's the right place, right? Even if you didn't know much, that the name of the function kind of tells you. And then right here, notice that if it sees the player and the player is visible, do something. So this part is just turn toward the player, but we are now adding this part, which is to fire on the player. Okay, the moment of truth. Let's set up the robots that are now just going after it. Okay, and here we go. Okay, they are firing on it. Now, two things. Notice that the projectiles are going right through the player. Okay, so, and why are the robots? Oh, now that, okay, I think I like this. I like this. So I don't know if you can tell what's happening. The robots can do friendly fire. That's pretty cool. So right now the player is impervious to being shot. The stuff goes right through him, but not so much for the robots. They can do friendly fire. Okay, so I think that this video ends right here with this ends part 16, because the problem is, so when obviously we've got all the program we need, when the robots get hit, whether the player hits them or they hit each other, like for example Hunt, okay, they go away. I can just bring them back, right? But that's not the case of the player. So it's not that simple. I have to decide, what to do, because right now the player only disappears when it cloaks, but when it gets hit, like, I don't know. Wait, I have to think about this. So we're going to end the video here.